Hello everyone, it's Techie Me Time here, and today we're going to be talking about the problems with iPhone. Now, we all know for years the iPhone has been seen as the best phone you can buy. Every year people line up, spend over £1,000, and upgrade to the newest, shiniest model. But here's the question nobody ever really asks. Is the iPhone actually that good? Or have we just been convinced that it is? Because when you really start comparing it to other phones, some weird things start to stand out. Things like limited customization, expensive upgrades, and features that Android phones have had for years, suddenly being marketed as something revolutionary. And yet millions of people keep buying them. So, in this video, we're going to break down the biggest problems with the iPhone, why so many people still defend it like life depends on it, and whether it's actually worth the hype. By the end of this video, you might start looking at the iPhone very differently. Now, before we get into it, a quick bit of context. I've used Android phones basically my entire life, but for the last 2 years, I've been using an iPhone, as my main device. So this isn't just someone hating on iPhones from the outside. This is someone who's actually switched, used one daily, and noticed some pretty frustrating problems. Let's start with one of the weirdest ones. Number 1. System data. One of the most confusing issues with iPhones is something called system data. If you ever looked at the storage settings on an iPhone, you might notice a mysterious category called system data that really repeats. And sometimes it can take up tens of gigabytes of storage. And the worst part is you can't really control it. There's no simple button to clear it, no explanation of what's actually taking up the space. Sometimes it's just caches, logs, temporary files, or leftover system junk that just keeps growing. And in some cases, the only reliable way to fix it is a full factory reset. Imagine paying hundreds of pounds, well, thousands of pounds, for a premium smartphone, only to be told the solution to a storage bug is erase your entire phone, start over, and then restore everything using a backup. That means backing up your phone first, which in often cases, if you've used your iPhone for longer than a week, really will require you to buy iCloud Plus, so you would have 50 gigabytes of cloud storage to do it. In the UK this is only 99p, so it's not too bad. But still, it's an inconvenience amount going out your account, even though it's not a lot. This means backing up your phone first, resetting it completely, and then restoring all your data again, which takes ages. On many Android phones, clearing cached system data takes seconds, but on an iPhone, it's different. It can turn into a full backup, reset, and restore process, which for a device marketed as simple and user-friendly, that's pretty ironic. Number 2, the price problem. Let's talk about price. iPhones have always been expensive, but lately it's gotten pretty extreme. For example, the base model iPhone 15 launched at around £800 in the UK for the 128GB version, and that's the entry-level model, which, in all fairness, is pretty good. It's a fair amount. But on ones like Samsung, where I'm pretty sure they're offering like 256GB. 1 minute, let me check that. Samsung. Where on earth is my Samsung website? Let me check this. I swear when you buy a Samsung, it is like 256 gigabyte of storage. 1 minute, I won't be long. I just need to check. I don't want to tell you something that's wrong, guys. Remember that. Yeah, it is 256 gigabyte on the Ultra. And every S26, for that matter. Sorry for that, I had to check. But on the iPhone, if you want more storage, you could easily be paying £1,000 or more. And if you go for a Pro model with higher storage and better spec, the price can push well over £1,300. For a phone that is now 2 generations behind. We're now on the iPhone 17, and the iPhone 15 is still astronomically expensive. Now, the problem isn't just price itself, it's what you're getting for that price. Many Android phones in the same price range offer larger batteries, faster charging, high refresh rate displays, more customization, more open file management. Meanwhile, the base iPhone often ships with fairly basic specs compared to similarly can't say it price competitors. You're not just paying for hardware, you're paying for the brand. Number 3, the walled garden. Another big issue people talk about is Apple's walled garden. Apple tightly controls how its ecosystem works. On the surface, this can feel nice. Everything connects smoothly, AirDrop works, iMessage works. The Apple Watch works perfectly with the iPhone, but there's a downside. Once you're inside that ecosystem, it's very hard to leave. For example, iMessage works best with iPhones. Apple Watch works only with iPhones. And many Apple services are designed to keep you in their system. Even simple things like transferring files or using certain apps can become more restricted compared to using Android. This creates something called ecosystem lock-in. Once you have multiple Apple devices, switching becomes difficult, and Apple knows that. Number 4. Features that arrive late. Another criticism that you hear a lot is that iPhones often introduce features years after Android already had them. But when Apple adds them, they're marketed like a revolutionary invention. Some examples: widgets. Android had them for over a decade. Always on displays. Android had them for years. Customizable home screens. Standard on Android forever. And USB-C charging. Android phones used it long before iPhone switched. Now, to be fair, Apple usually implements features very well. But the reality is that many of the things presented as new really aren't. They're just new to Android users. iPhone users. Sound volume and audio. Another issue that gets overlooked is audio volume. Many users notice that Android speakers and headphone output, iPhone speakers and headphone output can be quieter compared to some Android phones. Even at maximum volume, Android devices can sometimes sound louder and more powerful. This becomes noticeable when watching videos, listening to music, and using the phone in noisy environments. Take a minute to think if you do that every day. I'll give you 30 seconds. Not 30 seconds, because that's too long. If you need more time, pause the video. You're welcome to. Now, this doesn't mean iPhones sound bad. They're often very clean and balanced. But if you're used to louder Android devices, the difference can definitely stand out. Limited customization, number 6. Customization is another area where iPhones still continue to lag behind. On Android, you can change launchers, completely redesign your home screen, install apps outside the App Store, and modify deeper system behaviours. On the iPhone, customization has improved slightly in recent years, but it's still fairly limited. You're mostly working inside the ecosystem that Apple allows. For most people, that simplicity is great, but for others, it feels restrictive. Number 7. Slow charging. Another complaint that people have made with iPhones is charging speed. Compared to many Android phones, iPhones charge surprisingly slow. While many Android devices support 65 watt, 80 watt or even 100 plus watt charging, the iPhone 15 charges around 20 to 27 watts. That means charging from empty to full can take around half an hour to 2 hours. Meanwhile, some Android phones can reach 50% battery in under 20 minutes. Apple does not prioritise battery health Apple does prioritise battery health and longevity, which is a good thing. But when you're in a rush and need a quick charge, the differences become very noticeable. For a premium phone in 2026, slow charges just feel outdated. Number 8, the lightning cable oh my god, sorry guys, I broke my computer there. Number 8, the lightning cable history. For years, Apple stuck with its proprietary lightning cable instead of using USB-C. This meant iPhone users had to carry a completely different cable compared to most modern devices. Laptops, tablets, headphones and cameras all moved to USB-C years ago. But iPhones kept Lightning for over a decade. It wasn't until the release of the iPhone 15 that Apple finally switched to USB-C. And that didn't happen because Apple suddenly wanted to. It largely happened because of new regulations pushing companies towards universal charging standards. For a long time, that meant iPhone users had to buy Apple-specific cables and accessories. Number 9. Repairability and expensive fixes. Another criticism of iPhones is repairability. Fixing an iPhone can be extremely expensive. Cracked screens, battery replacements, or camera repairs can quickly cost hundreds of pounds. Apple also controls parts and repair tools. This means independent repair shops sometimes have limited access to genuine parts, and in some cases, replacing components with unofficial parts can cause features to stop working properly. Apple has introduced a self-service repair program, but the service is still complicated for most users. For most people, repairing an iPhone often ends up being expensive or inconvenient. Why people still love iPhones? Now, to be fair, there's a reason iPhones are still incredibly popular. They do some things extremely well. They offer long software support, excellent app optimization, strong privacy features, and a polished ecosystem that works smoothly. For many people, that simplicity is exactly what they need. The phone just works. No tweaking, no complicated setup. Just pick it up and use it. Conclusion. Does that mean the iPhone is bad? Not at all. It's still one of the most polished smartphones that you can buy. But it's also far from perfect. Between the storage issues, high prices, system lock-in, ecosystem lock-in, slow charging, and features that arrive many years late, the iPhone may not be the flawless device it is often portrayed as. And if you've only ever used iPhones, it might be worth trying something different, because once you step outside the Apple ecosystem, you start seeing smartphones in a completely different way. So, if you want to stop being a cog in Apple's system, I recommend trying Android, specifically Samsung. Samsung phones are easy to use. They're as simple as an iPhone with more customization, and they're just nicer. I will say in no way, shape or form this video is sponsored by Samsung or Android, and I may sound like a sponsor. I just really like Android, okay guys? Just leave me alone. So, I've been Techie Me Time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.